Hey, you just bought an MX5, you've played through a few presets, and now you're not sure what to do next. I'm going to help you build your first rig and help you get basic familiarity. But before we go too far, let's talk about monitoring, because you don't really know what a good sounding rig is unless you're hearing it correctly. So I've actually listened through a bunch of different things and they all give me different results. I've got these M-Audio M50s, which were quite bright. I've got these Sony 7506s, which made my rig sound too harsh. I've got these blue MoFis. These sounded great, so that's an option. I've got these Sennheiser HD 280 Pros. These weren't too bad. These are pretty good. If you want the best thing for your monitoring, I suggest picking up at least one or two of the Headrush FRFRs. I've got a pair of the 108s. You've probably seen me using those in the other videos. That's the best option. There's also these Ultima Ears. It's actually what I do a lot of my monitoring with now. They're very, very good, but they're not necessarily in everybody's budget. Now we're going to go ahead and start building our first rig. I'm going to go up here to the top right hand corner. I'm going to tap there and it says new rig. So new rig. My advice here when building a rig from scratch is start with something that you might be familiar with. You know, if you've used a Marshall all your life, then maybe pull up a Marshall. If you're a Fender guy, maybe pull up a Fender. You know, start with something you're familiar with so you kind of know what you're trying to achieve. I'm going to go with an AC30 today. I'm just going to tap on one of these plus signs. Now I have the opportunity to choose an amp. And on this list, you can see there's lots of amps listed. I know that 66 AC high boost is a Vox AC30. That's an amp I'm familiar with. I'm going to go ahead and edit that. So I double tap on the amp right here. I like to bring my amps up to right up to the edge of overdrive, just right before it gets there. So when I play hard, it drives, and when I play soft, it doesn't. So edge of breakup, that's the phrase you've probably heard before. So I'm going to take this up around, say, 75-ish. I'm going to take the brilliant volume up around 75 as well. Treble, maybe just turn that up a little bit. And I'm going to tap here to go to the second page. Bass is at 50%, that's okay for me. Tap the back arrow here, see how it sounds. It's, if I play soft, and if I play hard, you'll also notice that it brought in its own cabinet right here. This is a standard cabinet, and using the cabinet that was the standard cabinet that came with that amp, they sound like an AC30, but I also like greenbacks. That's what I'm most used to. So I'm going to come down here, I'm going to change it to 4x12 greenback 25s, which is, I actually have that cabinet in real life, so I know what it sounds like. Yeah, that's pretty good. Try the Axis again. Makes a big difference changing the Axis, so well, I do like to play with that. All right, next thing we're going to need is some reverb. I normally use the reverb between the amp and the speaker, so I'm going to touch the speaker here, drag that, kind of get it out of the way down the bottom here. So now I've got 3 spaces in between the amp and the speaker. You can change that stuff anytime. I'm going to go ahead and add a reverb down here right before the speaker. So let's see, reverb. I'm just going to go with 11 reverb, medium plate. See what that sounds like. Maybe make it a little longer. It's a little bit bright for me, so I'm going to turn that down, the tone down a little bit. I like to have a good pre-delay on it. It just makes it feel more spacious without actually adding more echo into it. So pre-delay just means that there's your normal sound, then there's a slight gap, and then there's the reverb sound. So that really sounds much more natural to me. That's good, and then that's probably a little too much in the mix for me, so I'll turn it down a little bit. All right, we're going to put a delay in front of the amp, see how we like that. Let's go with an old-fashioned BBD, Bucket Brigade delay. So we'll go with a light echo on that one. Just got one bounce on it. So maybe that's a little short for me, 250 milliseconds. I'm going to change that to 400. All right, that works for me. 400. Let's see, feedback, let's get it repeating a little bit. Oh, yep, that's good. Let's figure out the mix. Oh, the mix is not bad. Maybe turn it up a little bit. Yeah, I'm cool with that. The gain is okay. Okay, so now we're actually got a pretty good starting point in just a couple of minutes here. Let's just try it out. So we got a pretty good edge of breakup sound there. One thing I'm going to change is that I kind of prefer the delay after the amp. I mean, that's personal preference, but let's try that. Feels like I have a little more control over it. Hey, you do you. Let's put a compressor on there. Always in the first spot with compressor, or most often, not always. So that would be under Dynamics. Go with the gray comp. It's just a basic 2-knob compressor. Double tap on that. I think the amount of compression is right, but with the level at 100%, it's driving the amp into overdrive, which is sometimes what I want, but not this time. So I'm going to turn the level way down so that it's not doing that. Yeah, that's pretty natural, so I can play soft. And I can play harder. And of course, got to have a drive, right? So got an AC30, a lot of people running a drive in front of that. So let's go to distortion. I'm going to go with the old faithful green JRC, which is a tube screener, 808 tube screamer. I kind of like that, but let's have a look at it. Take it up slightly. I am from the rock era. Yeah, that works for me. All right, that gate's cutting out. I'm going to go over here to input. Going to tap on preset and I'm going to go no gate. Now you got all that natural noise that you come to expect. All right, that's maybe too much noise. I'm going to change the gate again. I'm going to change the threshold somewhere down here. You'll see that white line moving closer. I want to keep that close, just above the green of the guitars. Right there. I'm going to change the release to over 1,000 at least. Yep, that's good. And then I'm going to change the noise filter to -60. So now the gate is working the way it should. Didn't cut me out at all. Yeah, perfect. The gate's working well for me now. All right. So what do we got? Yeah, maybe he wouldn't have used the overdrive for that, so. Using an IR instead of the built-in amp, built-in cab. So I'm going to take this cab, I'm going to drag it down to delete it. Delete this model, yes. And over here, I'm going to hit plus. I'm going to hit custom IR, touch IR, default. All right, so now it's already put in a default IR. It's not the one I want. So here's a Celestion Vintage 30 that I got from Celestion for free for signing up on their email list. I'm just going to go, so -10. Okay. Okay, I like that one, but it's a little brighter than I want. So I'm going to use the high cut and I'm going to take that down to 3K, 3000 Hertz. Maybe a little more. Let's take it up a little bit. 5K. That works for me. Okay. The next thing I want to do is arrange these pedals along the front here. So on the screen you can see that it's automatically assigned the amp and the IR and the reverb on the 3 pedals, which is not at all what I would want. So I'm going to go up here to the 3-dot menu. I'm going to go to Hardware Assign. And right now where it says amp, I'm going to touch on that and I'm going to assign something else to it. So I'm going to put the compressor in the first spot. I'm going to touch where it says IR, and I'm going to put the overdrive, the green ORC, on the next spot. And then I never turn the reverb off, so I'm going to go down and maybe put the delay on the 3rd spot. So now I can turn on the overdrive using the button, turn off the delay, turn it back on, turn off the compressor. Hey, you know, we're basically there. I'm going to make one more change and then we're going to save it. So the compressor, I think, is the wrong color. So I'm going to double tap on that. And there's a color bar along the bottom here. I like my compressor to be green. Tap on the back arrow. I like my overdrives to be red. Choose the color down the bottom. And my delays, I like those to be blue. Got a finished rig just the way I like it. So last thing to do is go to the top where it says save right here. Save new rig. I'm going to say AC30.